Hello, welcome to Scott's Odyssey. Today's journey takes us to a Pennsylvania state park where a little creek that should have been named a river traveled from the south of the state to the northeast and then back down to the southwest and then ultimately ended up here in the northwest. The millions of year journey formed a gorge in the Appalachian mountain range that has become a small recreation location with some of the most spectacular natural formations we have here in this Commonwealth. Carved by the Great Trough Creek, welcome to the Great Trough Creek Gorge, now known as the Trough Creek State Park. See you in a minute. Welcome back. Although I have no intent on making videos on state parks, mainly because most of them are too interpretive of a nice looking area with little to no historical significance, there will be a small handful that I will visit to give you the story for their existence. This park here, the Trough Creek, is one of those parks. When the settlers from the eastern part of Pennsylvania were moving west, many of them ran into a beautiful feature of this grand state. That feature was the Appalachian Mountains, a natural geological barrier almost 2,000 miles long, starting at the Long Range Mountains of Newfoundland all the way down to Talladega Mountain in Alabama. Completely cutting off expansion from the low-lying eastern coast plains to the lowland plains of Midwestern North America, the Appalachian Mountains were a barrier. This hurdle to the settlers was met most specifically at locations such as the Great Trough Creek Gorge, as well as similar locations such as Conemaugh Gorge, Pine Creek Gorge, and the famous Pennsylvania Grand Canyon Gorge. One of these settlers, Nicholas Crum, was traveling northeast along the mountains from Baltimore back in 1785. He chose to follow the Great Trough Creek until he found a place now incorporated into the park. He settled down and he used the creek to establish a water turbine grist mill for grain. Another settler in 1789, George Noblo, owned and operated an iron bloomery, a furnace specific to removing impurities from iron ore to form pig iron, and thus kicked off the location industrial boom attraction to the natural resources of iron ore, limestone, plenty of trees for charcoal, and the availability of water power. In the 1870s, this area was turned into nothing more than a wasteland. There were little to no trees, there were abandoned furnaces and fields of slag, a byproduct of making pig iron from iron ore. One day, a writer was traveling through the area while seeking inspiration for a story. After seeing this area and the many ravens that nested in the nearby cliffs of the gorge, Edgar Allan Poe returned to his home in Philadelphia and penned The Raven. In 1913, the Juniata and Southern Railroad, which traveled along the Great Trough Creek, extended the rail line to reach the Broad Top Coal and Mineral Company's mines. Unfortunately, the depletion of all the timber in these areas and the need of metal for World War I shut down the rails and they were turned into scrap, leaving behind an undesirable area prone to floods and fires because there was no more forest. Skipping ahead to 1929, the Great Depression hit the United States. To relieve the rampant unemployment, President Roosevelt created the Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC. The young men who worked in the CCC received food, clothing, and a small paycheck in return for the building of roads, trails, recreational facilities, pavilions, tree planting, forest fire fighting, and many other needed jobs dedicated to conservation. In June of 1933 until late 1941, Captain Francis P. Simpson of the 12th U.S. Infantry supervised Company 1331 of the CCC, whom just arrived in this location, and they built Camp S57, and they were referred to as the Paradise Furnace Camp. These men built John Bunn Road, Fink Road, Raven Rock, Balanced Rock Trail, Abbott Run, Schoolhouse, Laurel Run Trail, Trough Creek Drive, Paradise Road, Hill Farm Road, and the Great Trough Creek abutments, as well as the Trough Creek Dam and swimming area, and of course, all these surrounding structures. The men of Company 1331 planted the barren wasteland with trees. They constructed these roads and trails, and in essence, built from the ground up the 554-acre Trough Creek State Park, which was open to the public in 1936. The Paradise Furnace Camp closed with the CCC in 1941 due to World War II. Aside from the more obvious sights one would see within a state park, here are some pictures and some footage of the things that many people don't see even when they come here. Here's one of my favorites. Alongside of a no graffiti sign are the natural graffiti of a common Pennsylvania tree-dwelling animal. Let's see if you can guess what makes these marks. If you guessed the second largest rodent in North America, you're absolutely correct. The porcupine. As you can see, unfortunately for conservationists whom seek to use nature as the urban building resources for these parks, nature likes the ease of readily available resources being put into a nice neat pile for them to have access to. In this instance, local porcupines, whom typically eat plants, flowers, leaves, and twigs, really have a taste for the saltiness of treated wood. Even when they cover the wood with flashing, the zinc content in the flashing just offers the porcupine another appetizing treat. Along with the porcupine, the Allegheny wood rat, which resembles a very large squirrel that lives in rock holes, absolutely proliferates this area with their caches of food stored under rocks and in small caverns. While hiking through the park, you will find many remnants of the work performed by the CCC, and many that have become abandoned, removed for conservation purposes, or that are in just absolute decay. The scale and quality of much of this work is a beauty in and of itself. The rate at which nature is taking it back just adds to that visual candy. I hope you liked this episode. I hope you like learning about Trough Creek State Park. Do me a favor, remember this is 3 episodes. Hit that little bell. That way you'll be able to see the next 2 episodes that talk about the park and the gorge. While you're at it, click subscribe, share me, make comments below, tell me what you did and did not like. I want to interact with you. Tell me what you want to see. Tell me what things about this park that you think might have been better done. Just let me know. Anyway, till the next episode.